everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. You know how we do things here. We pick a topic and really get into it.
Love it.
And today we're diving into the world of evolutionary biology. I'm super excited about this one.
Me too.
This is a field that's all about exploring how life on Earth has changed over, well, billions of years.
Millions, yeah.
We've got some incredible sources lined up that are going to help us understand not just the basics, like, natural selection,
Right.
but also some of the most mind-blowing milestones in evolution.
It's a pretty epic story.
It is. We're talking the journey from those teeny, tiny, single-celled organisms to, well, us.
Exactly. And to make sure we really, get the most out of all this amazing material.
Yes.
We have an evolutionary biology expert here with us today.
That's you.
It is. And I'm so excited to break it all down and share some insights.
I can't wait. Okay, so let's start with, the basics, but, the really juicy basics.
Oh.
What exactly is it about evolutionary biology that makes it so important? I mean, it's more than just dinosaurs and fossils, right?
Oh, it is so much more. Evolutionary biology is about understanding the mechanisms.
The mechanisms, okay.
That drive the diversity of life on Earth.
Okay.
It helps us answer questions like, why are there so many different species out there?
Yeah.
And how are they all related to each other?
Right.
And how have they adapted to their environments over time?
Okay.
It even helps us understand how diseases evolve and spread, which is hugely important, for developing new treatments and vaccines.
So it's not just about looking back at the past.
No.
It's about understanding the present and even the future.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, so before we get too far ahead of ourselves, can you break down how evolution actually works?
Sure.
So, what are the key players in this grand evolutionary game?
So one of the most well-known mechanisms is natural selection.
Natural selection.
It's this process by which organisms with traits that make them better suited to their environment are more likely to survive and reproduce and pass those advantageous traits onto their offspring.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah, it's like a constant filtering process,
Okay.
shaping populations over generations.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't there also an element of chance involved? Don't random mutations also play a role?
Oh, absolutely. Mutations are these random changes in an organism's DNA.
Okay.
And they introduce variation into a population, while most mutations are neutral or even harmful.
Yeah.
Some can be beneficial.
Right.
And they provide an advantage that can then be favored by natural selection.
So it's nature is constantly experimenting.
Exactly.
Throwing out new variations and just seeing what sticks.
Yeah, will this work?
Right. I love that. So it's not just about adapting to what's already there. It's about the potential for brand new traits to just pop up and totally change the game.
Completely.
It's amazing. But what's interesting is that we don't usually see these big evolutionary shifts happening right in front of us.
Right in front of us.
No.
Why is that?
Well, that's because evolution, for the most part, is a very, very slow process.
Okay.
Think of it like geological time.
Oh, wow.
Mountains rising and eroding, continents shifting.
Right.
It's happening, but on a timescale that's just hard for us as humans to really grasp.
Yeah, it's way beyond our lifespan.
Way beyond.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we don't see evolution happening at all.
Okay.
Take antibiotic resistance, for example.
Okay.
Bacteria can evolve resistance to antibiotics incredibly quickly.
Wow.
Because they reproduce so fast. And each generation offers new opportunities for those beneficial mutations to arise and spread.
So it's we're seeing evolution on fast forward.
Exactly.
When it comes to bacteria.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a stark reminder that evolution is always happening.
It's ongoing. Yep.
Constantly shaping and reshaping life, even in ways that directly impact our health.
Absolutely.
That's a little scary, but also really cool.
Yeah. It's a powerful force.
Yeah.
And another mechanism that plays a crucial role, especially for species that migrate or have interconnected populations, is gene flow.
Gene flow, okay.
It's the movement of genes between populations.
Okay.
So let's say you have a group of birds from one island with a specific beak shape.
Okay.
And they migrate to another island and interbreed with the birds there.
Right.
They're introducing new genetic variations into that population.
Got it.
Which can lead to changes in beak shape or other traits over time.
It's evolution is getting a fresh infusion of ingredients.
Yes.
And those ingredients can lead to all sorts of new and exciting
dishes.
Evolutionary dishes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, now let's zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and look at the grand timeline of life.
The grand timeline, right?
How did it all begin?
Well, we need to go way, way back,
Okay.
about 3.8 billion years ago,
Wow.
to a time when Earth was a very different place.
Right.
The first life forms were these single-celled organisms,
Okay.
simple prokaryotes, like
Okay.
bacteria,
Right.
thriving in what we often call like the primordial soup.
So 3.8 billion years. It's incredible to think that all the diversity
I know.
that we see today stemmed from such humble beginnings.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. So what was the next big leap forward in this epic tale of life?
Well, the emergence of eukaryotic cells
Okay.
was a total game changer.
Okay.
This happened around 2 billion years ago,
Okay.
and these cells were much more complex
Then the prokaryote.
than the prokaryotes, yeah.
Okay.
With a nucleus to hold their DNA
Right.
and other specialized structures like mitochondria
Okay.
that paved the way for even more complex life forms down the line.
So eukaryotic cells were like the upgraded models.
Yes, the 2.0.
Right, setting the stage for all the multicellular organisms that we see today.
Exactly.
From plants and fungi to animals like us.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
It is.
So it was like evolution was figuring out teamwork,
Yeah.
paving the way for all sorts of intricate and amazing biological designs.
It's incredible.
So what were some of the key turning points after that? Did things just like slowly evolve from there?
Well, around 540 million years ago, we see this thing called the Cambrian explosion.
Cambrian explosion. Okay.
It was a period of rapid diversification,
Wow.
like an evolutionary burst of creativity.
Okay.
Most of the major animal groups that we see today,
Okay.
like arthropods, mollusks, chordates,
Right.
they first appear in the fossil record during this time.
So it just like explodes
Yeah, I
out of
know.
nowhere.
It's still a mystery why it happened so quickly, but
It set the stage
That's
for
correct,
this
yeah.
incredible diversity of animal
Yeah.
life that followed.
that we see today.
Okay, so things definitely did not just slowly evolve. It's like evolution threw a massive party
It did.
and invited all sorts of new and strange creatures to join in.
Exactly.
What happened next in this grand evolutionary saga?
Well, about 375 million years ago, we see the first vertebrates venturing out of the water
Oh, wow.
and onto land.
Bold move.
It was a huge step,
Yeah.
requiring a whole new set of adaptations
Right.
for breathing,
Yeah.
moving, surviving in this terrestrial environment.
Completely different.
Imagine the challenges those early land-dwelling creatures faced.
I can only imagine. Talk about pioneers.
Yeah.
Really paving the way for all the terrestrial vertebrates that came after.
Mm.
From amphibians and reptiles to birds and mammals, including us.
Exactly. And then about 66 million years ago,
Okay.
a massive asteroid impact.
Oh, right. The dinosaurs.
Yeah, wiped out the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
which created a whole new set of ecological opportunities for
Yeah.
mammals, who then, like, rapidly diversified.
They took advantage.
They did.
Yeah.
And filled those vacant niches.
Wow.
It's a reminder that evolution isn't always this gradual process.
Right.
Sometimes, these catastrophic events can reset the stage
Totally.
and lead to new evolutionary trajectories.
It's like evolution needs a little shakeup sometimes to really get things moving. Speaking of shakeups, when did we humans enter the scene?
We're relative newcomers,
Okay.
emerging in Africa only about 300,000 years ago.
Wow.
It might sound like a long time,
Yeah.
but compared to the billions of years that life has existed on Earth,
Right.
it's really just a blink of an eye.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like we've covered so much ground here, from those first single-celled organisms
I know.
to the emergence of humans. It's incredible.
It's like we've been on this whirlwind tour of life's greatest hits.
Totally.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to explore,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it comes to our own species.
Absolutely. And the story of human evolution is particularly fascinating because it's so intertwined with the evolution of our culture,
Right.
our technology, our impact on the planet.
It's a whole other level.
It is.
All right, I'm definitely ready for more. Let's take a deeper dive into that in the next part of our exploration.
I'm ready when you are.
All right, so we left off talking about humans being these like relative newcomers on the evolutionary stage.
Yeah, we are.
But we've clearly had like a pretty big impact on the planet, especially in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's true.
So how did we manage that?
Well, I think one of the keys to that impact is, our brains,
Our brains, yeah.
human brains, are incredibly complex,
Right.
capable of abstract thought, language, problem solving on a level
Yeah.
that's really unmatched by any other species.
Yeah. It's pretty easy to take our brains for granted.
It is.
So how did these like superpowered brains, how did they evolve?
Yeah.
Was it just a matter of getting bigger over time?
It's more nuanced than just size. While human brains are larger than those of our primate relatives,
Right.
the real game changer was like the reorganization
Okay.
and the development of specific areas,
Mm-hmm.
especially the prefrontal cortex.
The prefrontal cortex. Okay.
This is the area that's associated with all those higher level cognitive functions.
Okay.
Planning, decision making, inhibiting impulses, things like that.
So it's like the prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of the brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Making those strategic decisions.
I like that.
And as our prefrontal cortex expanded,
Yeah.
it allowed for more complex social interactions.
Okay.
More innovation in tool making.
Right.
And eventually, the development of language.
Yeah.
And symbolic thought.
That makes sense.
These were major turning points in human evolution.
Yeah.
Setting us apart from other primates.
Right.
And driving our cultural evolution.
We are incredibly social creatures.
Yeah.
And our ability to communicate and cooperate, it has been essential to our success as a species.
Definitely.
It's really interesting to think about how our brains and like our social structures kind of co-evolve together.
They did.
But haven't we also evolved like physically? I mean, we're not exactly swinging from trees anymore.
No, we're not.
Right. So like, what are some of those changes?
Our ancestors transitioned to walking upright on two legs.
Okay.
Bipedalism, it's called.
Bipedalism.
Was a major turning point.
Okay.
It freed up our hands for tool use and carrying.
Right.
And some scientists believe it also played a role in the development of, our large brains.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine trying to balance a big, heavy head on all fours.
Yeah, that does not sound fun.
It'd be a challenge.
But all this talk about evolution, it can sometimes make it seem like it's just a straight line,
Yeah.
From point A to point B, like ape-like ancestors to modern humans.
Right.
Is it really that straightforward?
Not at all. The human family tree is more like a bush than a straight line.
Okay.
There were many different hominin species.
Hominid.
These are, species that are more closely related to us than to chimpanzees.
Okay.
And they lived alongside each other in Africa.
At the same time?
At the same time, yeah.
Wow.
Some went extinct, while others contributed to the lineage that eventually led to us.
So it was a lot more complex than just a single line of ancestors.
It was.
Like, it's amazing to think about all these different hominin species, like, existing together, maybe even, like, interacting with each other.
Possibly.
What can you tell us about some of them?
Well, take Neanderthals, for example.
Neanderthals, okay.
They were incredibly adaptable, living in Europe and parts of Asia for hundreds of thousands of years.
Wow.
And we know now,
Yeah.
thanks to advances in ancient DNA analysis,
Okay.
that they actually interbred with early modern humans.
What?
Meaning that many people today carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA.
No way. So we're not just descended from a single ancestral population. It's more like this complex web
It is,
of interconnected lineages.
Exactly. And that complexity makes studying human evolution even more fascinating.
Yeah.
Because, each new discovery helps us fill in the gaps in our understanding of this incredible story.
It's like a puzzle that we're constantly putting together.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about how humans evolved, but what about the future of human evolution? Are we still evolving?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes.
Okay.
Evolution's an ongoing process. It never stops.
Okay.
It's just that the pressures that drive evolution are constantly changing.
Right.
In the past, natural selection favored traits that helped us survive in these harsh environments.
Right.
And find food.
Yeah.
But today, with advances in medicine and technology,
things are a lot easier.
things have changed.
Right.
Those pressures have shifted.
So what kinds of traits might be favored by natural selection in the future?
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's unlikely that we'll, develop superpowers.
No laser eyes.
Probably not. But we might see subtle changes in our immune systems as we face new diseases or in our metabolism as our diets and lifestyles continue to evolve.
Those are definitely changing rapidly.
They are. And of course, our cultural evolution
Yeah.
is happening at an unprecedented pace,
Yeah.
which could have these unpredictable effects on
Sure.
our biological evolution.
That is mind-boggling to think about.
It is.
It's like we're essentially shaping the future
We
of our own evolution through our choices and actions.
Yes, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. So with all that in mind, why is it so important for people to really understand evolution, especially today?
Well, I think understanding evolution
Yeah.
gives us this powerful framework for understanding the world around us.
Right.
It helps us appreciate the interconnectedness of all living things.
Okay.
You know, from the tiniest bacteria to the largest whale.
The whales, yeah.
It also helps us make sense of our own place
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Reminding us that we're part of nature,
Right.
not separate from it.
So it's about recognizing that we're all part of this incredible
Yes.
web of life,
Yeah.
woven together by billions of years of evolution.
That's beautifully put.
Right.
And that understanding, I think, can inspire a sense of awe
Right.
and wonder
Definitely.
at the diversity and resilience of life.
Yeah.
But it also carries with it, I think, a sense of responsibility.
Responsibility. Okay. In what way?
Well, the choices we make today, you know, as individuals and as a society,
Mm-hmm.
are shaping the future of evolution. Not just for ourselves, but for all species on Earth.
Right.
You know, climate change, habitat loss, pollution.
Mm-hmm.
These are all powerful evolutionary pressures
Yeah.
that are already having a profound impact on biodiversity.
Okay.
So we need to understand the implications of our actions.
Right.
If we want to conserve this incredible diversity of life
Right.
that evolution has produced.
That's a really powerful point. Like we're not just passive observers of evolution.
No.
We are active participants
We are.
shaping its course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have to ask a question that
Let's-
comes up a lot when people talk about evolution. Is evolution just a theory?
Yes, just a theory argument. It's important to remember that in science,
Okay.
a theory
Yeah.
is not just a guess
Right.
or a hunch.
Okay.
A scientific theory is a well-substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world
Mm.
that can incorporate facts, laws, inferences, and tested hypotheses.
Okay.
Evolution is a theory.
Yeah.
In the same way that gravity is a theory.
Okay.
You know, both are supported by an overwhelming amount of evidence
Right.
from multiple lines of scientific inquiry.
So it's not like scientists are just tossing around the word theory lightly.
No, not at all.
It's a term that carries a lot of weight
It does, yeah.
in the scientific world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what other like common misconceptions about evolution have you encountered?
Well, you know, another one is the idea that evolution is all about survival of the fittest,
Okay.
implying that it's this ruthless competition
Yeah.
where only the strongest survive.
Right. Right.
But, you know, while competition does play a role in natural selection, it's not the whole story.
Okay.
Cooperation and symbiosis are just as important. Think of the mutually beneficial relationships between, plants and their pollinators or the complex social structures of ants and bees.
Okay.
Evolution is about finding ways to thrive
Yeah.
in a given environment.
Right.
And sometimes cooperation is the most successful strategy.
So it's more about survival of the fittest for their environment.
Exactly.
Which can include being a team player.
Yes. And another common misconception is the idea that
Okay.
that evolution has like a goal
Okay.
or a direction.
Yeah.
People sometimes assume that evolution is striving towards
something.
some kind of perfection,
Right.
or that humans are the pinnacle of evolution. But evolution doesn't have a plan.
Right.
It's a blind process.
Yeah.
Driven by those random mutations.
Right.
And the ever-changing pressures of the environment.
So there's no ladder of progress with humans at the top. It's more like a branching tree with countless paths.
Yeah.
All equally valid.
Exactly. Each species is uniquely adapted to its own niche.
Right.
and there's no one right way to evolve.
Okay.
Humans are just one twig on this vast and intricate tree of life.
Right.
No more or less important than any other species.
It's a humbling thought. Okay, we've talked a lot about the mechanisms of evolution.
We have
its history, some common misconceptions.
Yeah.
But what about like the practical applications?
Yeah.
Of evolutionary biology? How is this knowledge being used in the real world today?
Evolutionary biology is informing a wide range of fields, from medicine to conservation to agriculture.
Okay.
For example, understanding how pathogens evolve is crucial for developing new antibiotics and vaccines.
Okay.
Knowing how pests evolve resistance to pesticides helps us develop more sustainable agricultural practices.
Right.
And using evolutionary principles to understand the genetic diversity of endangered species can help us develop more effective conservation strategies.
Wow. So it's not just about understanding the past. It's about using that knowledge to solve real world problems.
Yeah.
And create a better future.
Yeah.
I'm eager to dive deeper into some of these applications.
Me too. Let's explore some fascinating examples in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, so we've talked about all the ins and outs of how evolution works, gone through its history, debunked some common misconceptions.
Yeah, those are always fun.
They are, but now I really want to get into how evolutionary biology is being used to tackle real-world challenges.
Yeah, that's where it gets really exciting.
This is where it gets really cool. So let's jump right in. You mentioned medicine earlier. And I'm curious about how understanding evolution can help us fight diseases, especially with, all this talk about antibiotic resistance these days.
Well, antibiotic resistance is a prime example of evolution in action.
Okay.
Bacteria reproduce rapidly, which means they can accumulate mutations quickly.
Right.
So when we overuse antibiotics,
we're
essentially creating this strong selective pressure that favors bacteria with mutations that make them resistant to those antibiotics.
Right.
So those resistant bacteria, they survive. We reproduce. They pass on their resistance genes to their offspring, leading to the spread of these antibiotic resistant strains.
So it's like we're inadvertently breeding superbugs.
Yeah.
By using antibiotics too much.
It's a concern.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
It is. But evolutionary biology can actually help us combat this problem.
Okay, how so?
So, for example, by understanding how bacteria evolve resistance, researchers can develop new antibiotics that target different mechanisms in the bacteria, making it harder for them to evolve resistance.
So it's like an arms race with scientists trying to stay one step ahead of those evolving bacteria. Okay, that's pretty intense. What about vaccines?
Yes.
Does evolution play a role there too?
Absolutely. Viruses like the flu virus.
Yeah.
They evolve incredibly rapidly.
Right.
They constantly mutate, which makes it challenging to develop vaccines that are effective against all the circulating strains.
Right.
That's where we need new flu vaccines every year.
Right.
Evolutionary biologists are using their knowledge of viral evolution to predict which strains are most likely to circulate.
Oh, wow.
In the future, helping to develop more effective vaccines.
That's amazing. So it's like predicting the flu's next move.
Kind of.
Based on its evolutionary history.
Exactly.
That's some serious detective work. What other areas are benefiting from an evolutionary perspective?
Well, conservation is another field where evolutionary biology is playing a crucial role. As humans continue to alter the environment, understanding how species adapt to these changes is critical for their survival.
Yeah.
Evolutionary biologists can, help identify populations that are most vulnerable to extinction, based on their genetic diversity, their ability to adapt to things like habitat fragmentation, or their resilience to climate change.
So it's not just about protecting species, it's about protecting their potential to adapt.
To evolutionary potential.
Yeah,
their ability to adapt and thrive. in the face of change.
That's a great way to put it. And evolutionary biology is also helping us design more effective conservation strategies,
Yeah.
like creating wildlife corridors to
Right.
connect fragmented habitats.
Yeah, allowing for gene flow
Right.
and maintaining genetic diversity in those populations.
That's amazing. It's like we're using our knowledge of evolution to help nature help itself.
Right. It's a powerful tool.
It is. You mentioned agriculture before too.
Yeah.
How does evolution play a role in like feeding a growing population?
Evolutionary principles are being applied
Yeah.
to breed crops
Okay.
that are more resistant to pests and diseases,
Right.
more tolerant to drought,
Okay.
and more nutritious.
Okay.
You know, for example, breeders can use techniques like artificial selection, which
Right.
is essentially like mimicking
Okay.
natural selection, but with human guidance
Okay.
to select for these desirable traits,
Right.
speeding up that evolutionary process.
So we're essentially guiding evolution in a direction that benefits us,
Yeah,
but hopefully, minimizing those unintended consequences.
so I gotta be careful.
Right. That's
Yeah.
really interesting. And another exciting area is the use of evolutionary algorithms.
Yeah,
Right.
inspired by natural selection
Yeah.
in fields like engineering
Okay.
and computer science.
Right. Right.
These algorithms can help solve these complex problems
Okay.
by simulating the process of evolution,
Oh, wow.
testing different solutions,
Mhm.
and selecting the ones that work best.
So we're learning from nature's design process.
Exactly.
Its ability to find those elegant and efficient solutions through evolution.
It's pretty amazing what we can learn from nature.
It really is. And it's amazing to think about all the diverse applications of
Yeah.
evolutionary biology.
Mm-hmm.
It really underscores its importance as this like foundational concept in science.
It is a foundational concept.
It helps us understand so much
Yeah.
about the world around us.
Understanding evolution opens up this whole new way of seeing the world.
Right.
It's about recognizing patterns,
Mhm.
connections,
Yeah.
processes that are constantly shaping life around us.
That's well said. It's been an incredible deep dive
It has.
into evolutionary biology.
It's been fun.
It has. We've covered so much ground, from those basic mechanisms
Yeah.
to its profound implications for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So any final thoughts you want to leave our listener with?
Keep exploring,
Yeah.
keep questioning, and keep marveling at the wonders of the natural world.
I love that.
And remember, evolution is not just a story of the past.
Right.
It's a story that's still unfolding,
It is.
and we're all a part of it.
We are all part of it. That's beautiful. I hope our listeners leaving this deep dive with a renewed sense of curiosity and wonder about this incredible story
Hope so too.
of life on Earth.
We too.
And who knows, maybe they'll even be inspired to learn more about evolutionary biology and how they can, play a role in shaping its future.
That would be wonderful.
It would be. Well, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you for having me.
on this journey. And until next time, keep those minds curious.